Hey everybody, so in my last video I went on a bit of a rant about people who employ CSI level detective skills in order to find out if their mate is cheating, and I still stand by everything that I said in that video. So if that's you, not only do I think that that's despicable and childish behavior, it's crazy behavior and you really need to stop that. Yeah, get you some help. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about cheating and cheating behavior and how that impacts not just relationships but women overall. Now, I do have a couple of disclaimers. Number one, my experience is definitely my experience, and I don't mean to imply that it is one experience fits all, because yours may be different. And number two, unfortunately I can't come from a man's perspective, so that's not to say that men have not been the victim of cheating. I know that there are some good men out there who have invested their time and energy in women who broke their hearts, and so I'm not meaning to omit that or to overlook that. It's just that I can't speak to that because that's not my experience, because I'm a girl. So, having said that, I wanted to say that cheating, unfortunately, is a topic that I'm all too familiar with. Not only my marriage, but a long-term relationship ended because there was cheating involved. Now, in my marriage, it was pretty clear-cut. In my long-term relationship, he swore up and down that he was not cheating. Whatever. Ladies, I'm always encouraging you to go with your gut. You need to trust your intuition when it comes to things like that. I'm not saying be crazy and pop out of bushes, but some things just don't sit right. It don't sit right for a reason. But moving on. Anyway, cheating really has far-reaching implications, and it's more than just the sexual aspect. It invokes this sense of competition that we have with women already. We already have this sense of rivalry amongst each other that is just unwarranted in a lot of situations. We want to size up the next woman and see what she's wearing, what she's doing, where she's going, and how she looks. That's one of the reasons why when we find out that our man is cheating, we want to get in the car and posse up and go and see what she looks like. And really, we're not above beating that ass if we really get a hold to her, but that's really neither here nor there. I think that really for us it's about putting an eye to the woman that dared come in your relationship, not realizing that it's really not her fault. Whether she knew about you or not is really not the issue. The issue is that your relationship was not with her, it was with him. And so she didn't have any responsibility to maintain your relationship, he did. And so going after her really does nothing. It's kind of like killing a roach. Just because you kill one does not mean that there is not another one to take its place, honey. And you best believe it's somebody waiting in the wings, especially if you have somebody who is derelict and childish in his behavior and can't govern his own loins. If his penis can't figure out a way to stay in his pants, then sweetie, ain't nothing you can do about it. So you really have to kind of step back and look at what kind of game is being played with all of that. And it's not to say that, you know, women should not uphold the sisterhood, because I believe strongly in that. All of my girlfriends understand, and we know that there are just some things that are off limits, and each other's man is one of them. And if I know that you have a wife or a girlfriend, I'm not messing with you, and please don't step my way, because it won't be pretty. Not every woman is like that, and you know what? I can't govern them, and I certainly can't say anything to them, because that's their life and that's how they choose to live it. I don't appreciate it, but that's the way that they choose to live it. But the reality, like I said before, is that your relationship is not with her. She owes you nothing. And trust and believe, ladies, I have not always felt that way. And in the not too distant past, I would have gotten in my vehicle and it would have been on and popping. But that's not solving anything, and that's not helping me in the long run. And really, that's misdirected anger. My anger was at him. My issue was with him. My hurt was because of him, not because of her. And so once I put that into perspective, once I really understood what that meant and how that was really affecting me in more ways than one, it was really tampering with my self-esteem, my self-confidence, my self-worth. And you know, we have all these jokes and comedians coming out and saying, you know, oh, it's self-esteem, it's how you feel about yourself. When you have someone that disrupts your psyche and turns your world upside down, and everything that you thought you knew is no longer valid, that'll wreak havoc on you, and it takes a little while to bounce back from that. But I'm here to say that you can bounce back from it. And listen, one other thing that I want to throw in before I go: if you decide to stay in that relationship, it ain't nobody's business, and you owe no one any explanation. But if you stay, please understand that there are some sacrifices and some concessions that you're making when you do that. You haven't won. you haven't beat out the other woman, especially if he's not changed his behavior. All you've done is change one game for another. And so it's important to understand what you're dealing with when you deal with that. Now, I would never tell any woman at any time ever what she should or should not do, because the reality is, I can't live your life and I can't make your decisions. You have to walk in those shoes. And if you're comfortable with it and you love him and you want to continue to give him another chance and another pass, God bless you. And I really hope that it works out. But if you decide that you don't want to play those games and your self-worth is more than whatever the investment is that you're making in this relationship, then that's your prerogative too. I think that in either situation, you have to understand that cheating really does long-term damage, and you have to get to a place where you understand that it's not you. This has nothing to do with you. Much as I believe that rape has nothing to do with sex, I don't believe that cheating has anything to do with sex. I think that it's motivated by opportunity, not just opportunity, but greed and shortcomings and failings as a person. This is really an issue within him. And so I want women to stop taking on that mantle of shame and guilt and feeling like if they just gave him more, if they cook more, if they stop nagging more, and all those things may be true. And I'm not saying don't do that, but what I'm saying is that's not an excuse, and stop accepting it as an excuse. Every person is responsible for his or her own behavior. And so when you put that on someone else and make them responsible for what it is that you do and do not do, you absolve yourself of taking any kind of control over your own actions. And really and truly, I think that that's just slightly narcissistic, where you can't take responsibility for what it is that you do and it's always someone else's fault. If you're that much of a puppet, you really aren't functioning to your full ability, and you should probably get yourself some help for that too. But seriously, I want everyone to understand that cheating is not an indictment on who you are as a woman. Because you've been cheated on does not mean that there's something wrong with you. It's something wrong with the men that you've chosen. And so for that, I say, fix that selector. Fix whatever it is that's pulling that person to you. Those people who would betray you, or those people who don't mean you any good. Sometimes we don't select well, and that's okay. You learn the lesson and you move on. But there's life after cheating, and I've been single for 2 years, and I'm still hopeful. I still want to get married, and I still want to build a life with someone, and I know that there's someone out there for me who knows that that is not the appropriate way to behave. So y'all keep pressing, and don't let cheating ruin your life or turn you off of good men, because they are out there. My thoughts.